Hi everybody, welcome to my 2025 notebook setup video where I'm going to show you these 4 notebooks and how I'm using them in 2025, and I'll talk you through a bit about what each book means to me and how I plan to use it. So keep watching if you want to find out all about these notebooks. My first notebook is this tiny sketchbook. It's an A5 sea white sketchbook that is staple bound. It's about as cheap as you can get, really, but it's got a nice soft paper that's not too textured. And the plan for this notebook is to be an art practice space. So I'm going to maybe do some art that I haven't been doing as much, that's just for me to look at. I mean, I'm going to show you, but these things will probably never leave the sketchbook. I won't be making them into stickers or anything, I don't think. It's just purely an experimental space, and it's a good way to get back into art. I haven't done art consistently ever, I don't think, until 2024, and yeah, I've seen lots of progress in the things that I draw over this year, and I'm really excited to keep going. But I needed a space that was just my space. So this is the notebook I chose. We've got a pigeon from Hannah Bluish. We have one of my stickers. These are all my stickers actually. 3 fish and then 1 clover. They're all my own. And then these ones are all from Clarice Tudor, another illustrator. And this one's from Eva Anderson Draws, another illustrator. So I've got lots of artists' work as well. Artists that kind of inspire me, but it was also just nice to have art that's so different to mine and have it decorate the cover. It's very colourful and it makes me happy to see it, so that's what matters. Let's start with the first page. Here we go. So I started this in October, and I think it is nice to start your notebooks for the next year ahead of time, because then you kind of bridge the gap between this year and next year, and you're not so stressed about what you're doing in the book and kind of putting all this pressure on yourself in January of all times. And January can be a bit of a hard month for everyone, so yeah, it's nice to start the books ahead of time, take that pressure off. And another way you can take the pressure off, if you're an artist and you carve stamps, or you're an artist and you want to carve stamps and you've never done it, I highly recommend it to fill in your first page of a new notebook, because that tends to be the most daunting page and you're not really sure where to start. But lino stamps are so predictable in that if you stamp the stamp a million times before, you know that it's going to look a certain way and that it's going to look nice if you've carved it and tested it already. So that's one way to get over the fear of the blank page. The first blank page is to start with lino stamps that you've already used and you know work and are beautiful. So these are some of mine. I mean, they're all mine, but they're all kind of, I did them all at different times. I think I did these in the same day, and then these in the same day. And then this is a relatively new one. If you know what any of those images are referencing, then good for you. Well done. And I have a tiny grotesque here as well in the corner, who's just keeping the book company. And he's nice. I made him, he's an oil pastel drawing that I scanned in and have printed into stickers. So, and these are some of my stickers as well. Because it's nice to know when you started the book and when you finished it, especially if it's a sketchbook, something that could be with you for a very long time, depending on how fast you go. And I have no idea how fast I'm going to go through this. But yeah. The paper's also good for scanning images in afterwards. I think if you've got less textured paper, you're less likely to see the white background, which when you scan things in and kind of make them into things, which shouldn't have been a consideration when I bought this book, but I'd originally bought this with the intention of using it as the book that I scan in to make stickers from, which I've actually got the other sketchbook for now, so that's what that's for. And this again is a page that I've already done, a page that I've done several times now. I've got a sticker that I've made out of it as well, so it's present in both digital and analog formats. But again, it was just so nice to make something that I've already made before and that was relatively predictable but still turns out different. And it's good to have variations of things. We forget that we can make variations of things we've already made and have them turn out completely different as well. I've never tried this on an A5 page. I've done it in a field notes and then I've done it digitally, but never in here, so. And the text as well kind of resonated with me, the kind of repetitive process which drawing often is, because you're reconstructing things, you're doing the same motions over and over again, you're doing the same thought processes over and over again, and it's just a nice remembrance that that's the process and the process is important, and the act of creating is often what we create for rather than the end product. So I thought that was a nice sentiment to have at the start of a new book as well, that I can kind of reference back. And again, it's the first page, so first page is already taken out, so woohoo. And here we go. This is the last page that I've done. After this it's blank, but I was really interested in making some, well, it started off as a curiosity of making some Loch Ness Monster stickers, but they didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So I decided to come into this book and do some practice in Loch Ness Monster things. So this is a Loch Ness Monster page. We've got, this was probably a mix of just like me making it up and then me finding a picture of him. One of those pictures that you get on the internet. He kind of looks like a plesiosaur, so I probably referenced a scan of a plesiosaur. But we've also got some really famous fabricated Loch Ness Monster images here. So this was like a little toy submarine and then a clay head that was the big famous picture a while ago of the Loch Ness Monster, and I've been thinking about that a lot, so he felt important. And I think you'll find that a lot with my notebooks, these are things that have circulated within my head for quite a while before they make it to the paper, and then they make it to the paper and like kind of move on to something else. And kind of that circular thinking, kind of disrupting the pattern when you get something on paper is really fun. That's something I enjoy about keeping notebooks, and the reason why I don't think I could exist without keeping a notebook at all. So yeah, it's nice to kind of think about things, make something dedicated to them that's external to yourself and your own thought processes, and then kind of walk away from it almost. Kind of extricate things. But this was also a famous image of his like rhombus shaped fin in the water, which again is another image I've thought a lot about over the years. I learned about the Loch Ness Monster in year 5 and just have thought about him ever since, so it was nice to dedicate a page to him. And I've also got some Adrian Lenker lyrics from the song Anything, but that's also the title of an album by Big Thief. But those were the lyrics that were circulating in my head when I was making it. So they kind of came to me and I wrote them down. So they're not words that I've come up with, they're just words that other people have come up with. But yeah, it's just nice, and I've got some kind of decorations and it's very good. Yeah, this page materialised and then it was like, wow, I've made a page. It's quite impressive. Because I've never had a regular sketchbook really, and this feels so experimental and playful and just low stakes. So that's what this sketchbook's for. Cheap sketchbook, low stakes. Next important sketchbook is this one. This is an A4 sketchbook, so it's a bit harder to picture for you. But again, I've got kind of similar decorations to that of my other sketchbook, and I think it's nice that they kind of echo each other in decoration. But he's one of mine, and I drew this with my stub nib pen and stuck some tape on it. So yeah, this is the book that I use for scanning things in. When I make my oil pastel, usually oil pastel sticker sheets, I always do them on paper first, scan them in using my iPad, and then kind of refine them in the digital form. But I also learnt from the internet that you can rip out a page in a spiral bound notebook and paste it back in. So you can kind of rip these perforated edges and then reattach it and tag it in, and it stays relatively intact. So I wanted the first page to be kind of a swatch of my new Sennelier oil pastels to kind of remind me to use them. And I still haven't yet, just because they're a completely different texture to the oil pastels I usually use, and they're a bit nicer. So yeah, if you know any tips on how to get over the pressure of new art supplies, please let me know. Because they're very nice and I'd like to use them. And this just came in the book. But here we go. This is where we start. I've already started in this book just because I'd run out of paper that I could use to scan in. So it felt important to kind of break the sketchbook in, regardless of whether it would take the pressure off. It was just something I had to do. So this is where I've begun with this sketchbook, and I can show you the sticker sheet that resulted from it. So that's what resulted. There's the sword that you can see here. But I've been kind of obsessed this year with these stone colours, and I don't really know. I think it is just because there is a nice depth to stone colours. I just use, this is just the combination of two oil pastels that I mix up, and I've run out of one, so I can't even show you it, but they're just a nice colour combination, and you can create a good amount of depth with them. And I think when you're a beginner person, I mean, I've never learnt about colour theory. I've never done any formal art training, as much as that would have been something that I would have enjoyed, probably. I mean, I wasn't a good art student in like GCSE times. I didn't get good grades in art, but I would have liked to be able to learn. And it's so easy to say to yourself, well, I'm just not good at making art then, I should just stop, and if I don't have a natural gift for it. But I've found that it's important to work hard at things. If you want it, you can work hard at it. And sometimes it is just best to just start. So that's what I've been doing this year, just starting. And this is a fish as well that I've done and then transformed into a sticker. And I kind of, this is the scanning of this fish, but then I also edited him on the iPad with the sword, which I thought that was a nice image. I feel like the finished sticker sheet has some kind of Arthurian medieval, but also like organic with the fossils kind of inspiration, and that's really cool. Those are all the things I like my notebook to be and want my notebook to be in 2025, so that's what we've been doing, is just working on that and kind of creating my own. And this page as well is kind of, I can show you close up. I did the scripts for each month of the year, tested them out with my big stub nib, and then scanned them in, drew some digital doodles around them, and then hey presto, I've got a sticker sheet to use for the year. So if you're wondering about my artistic process, I just thought it was a bit interesting to show you kind of what this sketchbook ultimately becomes, which is some kind of sticker sheet usually. Not that I don't make things and then discard them. A lot of it is just the learning process of finding ways to use things and what not to use, and how to translate things from oil pastel, no, from kind of an idea or an image, usually a combination of the two, into oil pastels. Because I do use references, but I think I've been getting more used to making things up. Like, he just materialised from my head. I don't think I even used a picture for him, so. But yeah. It's nice that the kind of artistic process for me this year has been so driven by curiosity and what I find interesting to look at. And that's one of my favourite things about making art. I mean, art's a kind of lofty term, and I do think anyone that wants to use it should use it, and that it shouldn't be reserved for special people. But the practice is so much about paying attention to things and being mindful of the world around you, and kind of matching that quality of observing with kind of a translating process into a new thing. There you go, a half-baked idea about what I like about art. But I loved making these fossils as well, and just anything in stone colours this year has been amazing, because it's not just that I don't have to think about the colour theory aspect of things really, but the kind of stone material has become a lot more significant to me ever since I started looking at gargoyles, which makes sense, and it would make sense that it would then translate into other things. So this is my first stone gargoyle, unrelated to gargoyle sticker sheet, and I really like it. So yeah. And these guys as well. Kind of a brass book plate kind of thing, which didn't end up being a sticker because it was just a bit messy. And then a kind of wee dragon thing that I drew. And here we go. This is what I've been working on recently, is the pansies. Here's a little sneak peek of something I'm doing based on this. And I've kind of edited it in here in Procreate and got something like that. So woohoo. So the iPad should really be a part of this video as well, because that's important to me. It's just a second-hand iPad that I bought and have been using to illustrate on with a little cheapy pen. Cheapy stylus thing. And that's the end of this book, so we can finish there with that. It's a lovely book, and I'll get lots of enjoyment out of using both of the sketchbooks, I think. Okay, now we're on to journals, journal territory. First book in journal territory is an appendix, and I can't show you anything that's in here, but trust that it's just me writing with a margin. So just complete the dates and the topic of the text are in the margins, and I write a little bit about what each entry includes, and then I just write for however long I want. But yeah. Welcome to the Hobonichi Cousin portion of this video, which is, I'm sure, what most of you are excited about. If you're excited at all. This book has been something that I've been working on getting better at using for the past few years, the Hobonichi Cousin, which you'll see the layout in a minute if that's not something that's familiar to you. But I have been using this, loving it, for a few years now. And this year I really wanted to try the full year edition, which has all 365 days in one book. It has monthly pages, weekly pages, and daily pages. So every day of the year is covered by them in this book. And there's two main reasons why I wanted a full year this year. And that's just because I like reading the quotes and I'm curious to see how fluffy the book gets. And if this book gives up on me like my other book has, if the binding falls apart to the point where pages are falling out, I'll either reckon with that or I will start a July to December Hobonichi half-year book, which is what I've been using currently, and just carry on from July onwards in a different book. I'm hoping it won't come to that and that I'll use this for the whole year and it'll be fine and nothing will fall apart, but you never know. So here's my decoration of the cover. I really love it this year. This feels so me and so evolved from all my other covers as well. I love that I can decorate a cover and see so much progress over the times that I've decorated it. And I get better at navigating the space and all that. So I love this year's decoration. I think it's pretty. But we have Traveller's Notebook stickers. The kind of sticker set that they make every year. And I wasn't the biggest fan of this year's. I don't think anyone was. The colours were all a bit random, but I like this one for the red because the kind of colour scheme that I went for was blue, green and red and kind of gold tones, just to keep everything as cohesive as possible. You might not agree that this is cohesive. I think it's pretty cohesive, but this was the main sticker that I bought the set for. I actually bought two of the sticker sets just because I love this sticker so much. That was my favourite thing to come out of the Traveller's Notebook Company stickers this year, is the little swallow one. And I like that they're foiled. They always look nice on the cover. And I've also got the birds are by the Antiquarian, and this flower down here is by the Antiquarian sticker books. And then I have a paleontology journal page by Sticky, a trout by me, a pen by the Paper Diaries, a little clover by Megan Rhiannon, a little collagey kind of torn paper-esque sticker that's just gorgeous and I love on this cover from Bronte Plans. And some of these are from me as well, and that one's from the Paper Diaries. So yeah, the flowers are the Antiquarian ones. I'm sure I said that, but so that's what's going on here. If there's anything in particular that you want to know where it's from, let me know and I'll try my best. Here's the inside cover of this book. This book is already meaning so much to me just in the way I'm decorating it, but this year the kind of main things I'm interested in for the book in terms of decoration are kind of medieval looking creatures. So these cats from Clarice Tudor, kind of goofy medieval cats. This one by Hannah Bluish. A nice bird by Art Larian. I got that in the Edinburgh Design Exchange. Pirates. These are Hannah Bluish pirate stickers. They mean a lot to me, both of those stickers. Some of my gargoyles. The kind of house decorations. Because I like that my book feels like a home. And I know this is kind of a wintry sticker with the cinnamon and the oranges, but those are also like symbols of prosperity that you might hang on the door of your house. And if you're prone to thinking of your journal as a sort of house, then maybe for this year you could think of your cover as kind of what you look at when you open the door to your house. And that's what I wanted this to be. I wanted to have like kind of good protection symbols, the gargoyles that are sort of, I mean, gargoyles have all sorts of cultural significance, including like warding off of evil, the kind of warding off of evil of it all, and gargoyles, less so gargoyles and more so grotesques, have been known for holding up the kind of structural integrity of buildings. Same with these corbels that I illustrated. They're kind of beautiful versions of something very functional, which entirely matters to the structure of a building. And that's kind of what I want my book to be, in that I want my book to be highly functional and good for stability, maybe stability of me, if we're lucky, but also they're so decorative and important for whatever you believe they do, whether you believe they ward off evil, whether they're kind of, I like the kind of reading of them that they assume the mask of evil to ward off evil. I think that's so intriguing. But yeah, gargoyle rant over. But yeah, grotesques are mainly for the structural integrity of buildings, and then gargoyles are for guttering water away from the buildings. So they tend to have water spouts in their mouths. I mean, the fact that he's pulling his mouth does have a cultural significance. Maybe look up that if that's something you're interested in. Find out all about the different faces that gargoyles are making, and what they mean. But yeah, that's the difference between gargoyles and grotesques, if you're ever wondering. Which I know that's a weird thing to come across in a journaling video, but there we are. So the theme for the book is medieval, pirates, goofy faces, home. Just things that make me think of home. In a book, especially. But also this book plate from Choosing Keeping, which just, every time I look at it, I find something new, and I find something that's so perfect for my book. Like, you've got a little ship over here. I've covered up my initial, which is why there's a weird bit of paper here. But the ship, the Poseidon, the train, the little quill and ink, and all the books felt so significant to my book that immediately when I saw this, I thought, yeah, this is going in here. This will make the book feel like home. And it does. So that's good. I will show you one of my favourite pages to make of the year, which is always the turning the page to a new year intentions page, which is what I use this page for. You could use this page for anything you want, but I love being able to set out intentions for pages and make it clear what I intend for the book, and obviously you can contradict your own intentions, you can stray away from your intentions. That's not really the point for me to make intentions. They're not prescriptive, really. They're just a bit of guidance from past me to the me that's going to be filling in this book of what I want this book to embody. All the hopes and dreams I have for this book as it stands. It's like a complete tabula rasa that's got nothing in it yet. And it's so full of possibilities that I want a bit of direction as guided by myself. And so my main intentions for this are writing and general contents, the key, and conjuration of spirit. So the conjuration of spirit portion is basically my fancy way of saying these are the vibes of the book. This is the spirit of the book that I would like to conjure. And I'll post a picture of the whole page on Instagram, so you can read it on Instagram if that's easier, if you want to know what my intentions are. But kind of basically I want, as the kind of little sticky pictures of journals I've got reflect, I want this book to be the biggest unhinged book. You know, in a film when someone comes in with the book and slams the book down on the desk and then opens it and rifles through it. That's what I want this book to be. I want this book to be so full of extra papers and tip-ins and slightly mad. I want you to look at the book and go, yeah, that's a book that's been lived in. So yeah. And then the second part of my intentions, the key, is mapped out on this side of the page as well. So for my daily pages I use 8mm Stalogy dots, and in order they are for research and inspiration, reminders, media, personal thoughts and notes, memories and events, and reading. And I found that those are the 6 things that I journal about consistently. And again, you could probably make a key for yourself that's too restrictive and not at all helpful and means that you feel restricted in the book. But I find that these categories are broad enough for me that pretty much everything I write falls into one of these categories, because it's just nice to differentiate my personal notes from the notes of other people, because I do commonplace in here. And this system is entirely inspired by Megan Rhiannon, who kind of popularised the use of these index dots to categorise that. And I think that's a really smart way of kind of differentiating between different types of writing in your book. Not that you need to categorise them, and if categorising them doesn't work for you, don't do it. But so for example, I used to have this pink dot as quotations, which I almost never used because I talk about media as a whole way more, and I had nothing to denote that I was talking about media because it didn't feel like research or inspiration. It just felt like something I was watching that was a bit silly. But I find that quotation marks as punctuation are enough to denote when I'm talking about a quotation anyway. So that felt a bit redundant to then tag it as that, whereas I talk about media all the time now. So you kind of can negotiate it as you go through, test whether it's useful for you, if that's something you're after. If it's not, abandon it. Never stick to anything that you don't want. And yeah, that's kind of the main inspiration behind this key system, is that it's used as a differentiator, especially if you commonplace and you do personal notes and planning and journaling all in one book. That could get a bit chaotic unless you have a system. I'm not saying it couldn't work, but it doesn't work for me unless I have a system. Also, I have a key for my monthly and weekly pages. This is partly inspired by Alex Thomas Creative, or Gloomy Daffodil is their kind of notebook channels and things. But they use Stalogy dots. I believe they use the 8mm ones to denote when they've got kind of appointments and things. And I did use transparent dots before, and that worked quite well. But transparent dots are so hard to find and they're so expensive. And it's nice because you can put them over the date of the page, but they're so expensive for what they are. So I decided to go with 5mm Stalogy dots, which come on a big sheet, so they're not scarce and they're not hard to find or expensive. They're still kind of expensive depending on who you are as a person. Depending on whether you're a notebook person. A few years ago I would have just disintegrated at the idea of spending over £10 on a book, but now that doesn't seem the case. But yeah, the things I mark off and have always marked off from a few years ago, even in my traveller's notebook, are events, occasions and important dates, and periods. Just because periods affect enough of my life that I need to journal about them on a regular basis and mark when they occur in the month, so I know to expect them. That shouldn't be news to you, especially if you have one. But yeah, it affects quite a big chunk of my life, and I journal about it and denote when it happens, and that's all you can do really. But yeah, that is this page. My kind of intentions have been guided by Lou Sullivan a lot in the past year. I've already talked about it a million times, it feels like, but his kind of documentation of experience has meant that my own writing is so much more valuable to me now than it was in the past. And not in kind of a inflating it to be something it's not way, but more in the kind of really subtle importance of kind of documenting your experiences and existence. That feels important to me now. And so not every page will be as decorative as this, I don't think. I'll have a good chunk of books, pages in this book that are just writing, or mostly writing, probably more than ever before. But yeah, I can also show you, I've set up for January because I wanted to take the pressure off myself basically for the start of the year. There are different times that I'm in a decorating mood as opposed to a writing mood. So I prefer to save the creative decorating for the times when I'm actively excited about doing that. And then when I write, I find that the page is already decorated. And I can just write, which is all I want to do when I want to write. Don't want to sit there and faff with bits of paper. So this is January's. I will show you up close. This is the reminder that I've put in the front of this book. It felt important, so I stuck it in. And it became part of the decoration of this page because I was really worried about this page. First page of a new book is always a bit scary, but I have some ransom note stickers here, some textured cameo stickers, like sea creature stickers, a Bronte Plans pansy, the reminder, which is like a Foglietto note card with sticky stickers on it, and then my little reminder key dot from the system that I showed you here. And then Goofy Creature. I've always got to have a creature in my book, so he felt like a nice start to the creatures. And some Arthurian Legends stamps. Some ephemera from a Jane Austen ephemera pack, like a Regency era ephemera pack. Some stars I cut out, some Megan Rhiannon little icons, and reminder text, remember text from Megan Rhiannon as well. And I drew a swirl at the bottom. I did toy with the idea of filling this in a bit more, but I quite like the negative space. And I feel like once you get to a point with the first page, you just have to stop, because you can keep going forever and make it look worse. You can, and that wouldn't be conducive to, you know, it being the first page and you getting nervous about it. But yeah, the reminder is kind of the reminder that the first page is never going to be the best. Of course it's not, because you've got a whole year of working through and finding new things and layouts that you like to do yet. So this is just a starting point. And on this page I've got some Bronte Plan stickers as well that I've been saving for a long time and I've just finally used. So use your favourite stickers for the start of your new book as well, because then it feels a bit special. But that's all I have to show you. The rest is completely blank. I've just put my index dots and that's it. So yeah, Hobonichi Cousin.